Korean food is awesome, but if you've ever felt intimidated to try cooking it, gochujang? Don't worry, because today I'm going to be your Korean mommy spoon feeding you all the fundamentals. We'll start with the structure of a Korean meal, then break down the essential seasonings, the everyday ingredients, and finally the core cooking categories from rice and banchan to soups, stews, and kimchi. So by the end, you can be your own Korean mommy. A traditional Korean meal is typically composed of 4 components: pap, aka rice, kuk, soup, banchan, supporting dishes, and last but not least, kimchi. No Korean meal is complete without kimchi. And a more modern way in Korea can also be a complete dish called 일품 요리, where it's a standalone one-dish meal, like bibimbap or kimchi fried rice. Let's go over some essential Korean seasoning and condiments. We're talking salt. So this is how Koreans season. So when you go to a Korean grocery store, you're gonna find 2 kinds of salt, one fine and one coarse. Fine salt is used for everyday cooking because it has small crystals that dissolve quickly and distribute evenly. This ensures consistent seasoning while cooking. The uniformity also allows for more precise and reliable measurements in recipes compared to the regular shape of coarse salt. Coarse salt is used for fermentation because its larger crystals dissolve slowly, creating a steady, controlled release of salt. This helps draw moisture out of vegetables gradually, maintaining crunch while preventing them from becoming overly salty too quickly, and it supports the right environment for beneficial bacteria to thrive during fermentation. Now we're talking soy. Most Korean mamas carry 2 types of soy sauce. You can think of jjinganjang to be your everyday soy sauce. It's a little darker in color and slightly sweeter. Tasty. For most Koreans, soy sauce is the go-to saltiness because it brings both umami and savoriness. It's the backbone of Korean cooking. You can season, pickle, and preserve just about anything with it as long as it's legal and edible. I've got a whole section of soy sauce recipes in my 100 banchan video, which I highly recommend for healthy and easy Korean dishes. And the other soy sauce, 국간장, translates to soup soy sauce, is lighter in color but saltier and sharper in flavor. Much saltier. It's mainly used for soups where you want the seasoning without the darker color. If you don't have 국간장, you can just use normal soy sauce and then add salt into it, and that's totally fine. And the difference between the two is that jjinganjang is brewed from soybeans and wheat, whereas 국간장 is brewed without wheat and just soybeans. Traditionally, Korean soy sauce is made by fermenting blocks of boiled mashed soybeans called meju in salted water inside clay jars called onggi. And after months of aging, the liquid becomes 국간장, while the solids turn into fermented soybean paste, doenjang. If there's one dish Koreans miss the most while traveling, it's doenjangjjigae or kimchi-jjigae. It's one of the two, okay? This is Korea's version of miso that's funkier and punchier, and the stew made with it is an essential part of Korean barbecue. It's kind of like the Parmesan cheese of condiments, so it pairs really well with vegetables that have natural sweetness, so the flavors mellow together to create one of my favorite banchans on earth. Gochujang is a Korean fermented chili paste made from red chili powder, glutinous rice, fermented soybeans, and salt. It's thick, spicy, slightly sweet, and adds deep umami flavor to stews, marinades, and sauces. There's a lot of different brands, but my favorite is the one from Sunchang because it thickens really well when cooking. You can think of gochujang as a concentrated flavor base that works well for both Korean dishes, but also for fusion dishes like gochujang pasta. This is ssamjang, and we mainly use it for one purpose: Korean barbecue. Is this a very single-use condiment? 100%. It's like our ketchup. It's sweet and salty. So it's perfect to be the sauce for our lettuce wrap called sam. But you can also easily make it at home just by combining soybean paste, gochujang, and a sweetener of choice if you don't want to buy it. 멸치 액젓. This is anchovy sauce, and this is what gives that oomph and umami. Compared to other fish sauce, this is much lighter, saltier, and cleaner tasting because it's aged for a shorter period of time. It's an important condiment to season kimchi and soups. My friend Johnny has a great video where he makes it from scratch, but essentially it's made by salting and aging anchovies until it becomes sludge. Once opened, it's best to keep it in the fridge to maintain flavor and slow oxidation, although it won't spoil quickly at room temperature due to the high salt content. Seojeon is a Korean salted and fermented shrimp paste made by preserving tiny shrimp with coarse sea salt until it develops a strong umami flavor. It's commonly used to season kimchi or served as a salty condiment with dishes like boiled pork belly, bossam. It's Korean surf and turf. It tastes pretty intense on its own, but when you use it in moderation, it adds a complex, slightly sweet and oceany flavor that works really well with squash. Once opened, it's best to keep it in the freezer since the shrimp is only lightly salted and it won't freeze like a block because the salt content is very high.
Now it's time to talk about acid and alcohol.
I'd say these are the three most used. We have brown rice vinegar, soju, and sweet cooking wine. Brown rice vinegar is made from fermented brown rice, and it's a little more toasty and slightly nutty in flavor compared to regular vinegar.
Definitely acidic because it's goddamn vinegar.
But it's more mild, so it's mostly used for salads and dipping sauces, but I'm gonna be honest with you, this one isn't too important, and you can just use white distilled vinegar, and it's gonna work just fine for pickling and seasoning to make Korean food. Soju is Korea's most popular distilled spirit, traditionally made from grains like rice, barley, or wheat, although modern versions now use sweet potato or tapioca. It's clear, smooth, around 16 to 20% alcohol by volume.
You can basically think of it as Korea's vodka.
And it's used for cooking a lot because it's cheap and doesn't imbue any taste. Soju isn't absolutely necessary, you can just grab any unflavored spirit and dilute it, but if you want to have a proper Korean barbecue night, this is the drink that'll make you feel like a true Korean salaryman.
Tastes like life. Bitter.
Matsu is Korean sweet cooking wine. It's similar to Japanese mirin and is often used in marinades, braises, and stir fries.
It's very sweet. It has hints of ginger and a little citrus note as well. This is incredibly useful when you want to get rid of some gaminess or with fish. So these are the two fats that Korean people use. Sesame oil to Koreans is like gas to Americans and olive oil for Italians. This is our fuel to life.
Korean sesame oil is made by first toasting the seeds, then pressing it to extract the golden aromatic oil. It's used as the finishing touch in so many Korean dishes like namul, marinades, dipping sauces, but it's not suitable for high heat cooking because of the low smoke point. Of the brands available, I like otugi because the metal can protects the sesame oil from light and air exposure. This slows down the oxidation and keeps the nutty aroma for fresh longer than clear plastic bottles.
And you can think of Perilla oil to be like sesame oil's wild cousin. It's a little bit more earthier and nutty, and it has a high smoke point. Therefore, you can stir fry things like kimchi, and it's a really great base for soups as well. Perilla oil, once opened, oxidizes a lot faster, so you need to keep it in the refrigerator to make sure that it lasts longer. So these are all the sweeteners we have. This is 매실청, rice malt syrup, corn syrup, and sugar.
매실청 is made with 50% unripe green plums and 50% sugar, then fermented for 100 days with regular burping to release the gas. Many Korean families make it yearly, including mine, because there's only a 2-week window when the plums are suitable for fermenting, and it's a traditional sweetener and digestive aid used in everyday cooking. We also made some this year, and this is our correspondent in the Korea office reporting live.
Drum roll, please. Sweet and sour.
Of course, store-bought isn't going to be as good as homemade, but
It's fruity, citrusy. You can think of it almost as something in between pineapple, lemon, and sweetness. It kind of tastes like a pina colada.
rice malt syrup is a natural sweetener made by fermenting cooked rice. It's thick, amber-colored, but less sweet than honey and sugar.
As you can see, it's incredibly thick. Toasty, caramelly, and it's not too sweet. This is what we use mostly for desserts and also for really good tteokbokki. This is the secret to it.
If you don't have a Korean grocery store near you, as a substitute, bouillot, aka corn syrup, also works.
Sweet. Doesn't really taste like anything, but that's the reason why this is really good for thickening and also not imbuing too much taste. Like if you cook with honey, for example, it gets a little medicinal taste that's not so good.
It's slightly different because it's sweeter and more neutral, but will give you the same shine and stickiness to the sauces you're looking for, like in Korean fried chicken. And last but not least,
Sugar? It's just sugar. We love sweet.
but more than that, in Korean cooking, sugar is often used to balance the sharp saltiness of fermented sauces to round out the flavors with subtle sweetness. It also adds caramelization, helps tenderize meats, and helps preserve food to last longer. When it comes to dry spices, we keep it pretty simple, and you can't talk about Korean food without introducing Queen Spicy gochugaru. Gochugaru is ground chili pepper powder that's bright and slightly smoky. Unlike other chili powders, it's a little sweet and fruity. The peppers are sun-dried, which concentrates the natural sugars and also gives the dishes a beautiful color to it as well.
When you go to a Korean grocery store, you're gonna find two types of chili powder. One coarse and one fine. The difference between the two is that one is coarse and one is fine.
Fine gochugaru is mainly used for making smooth pastes like gochujang or dipping sauces, whereas coarse gochugaru is used really for everything like kimchi and stews to give dishes a slight kick without making it too thick.
For everyday use, I like to keep a mix of coarse and fine because the coarse gives it texture and umami, but the fine gives it a pretty color. If you're not sure which gochugaru to go for, when in doubt, just reach for the coarse one because you can always blitz it up to make it into a fine powder.
Open up, Sesame, because there's a new Korean in town. Korean food without sesame seeds feels naked, but it's used as a nutty garnish that adds aroma, texture, and toasty finish with their characteristic flavor coming from being toasted. These are everyday aromatics used in Korean cooking.
Garlic, ginger, onion, green onion, and leek. So obviously garlic is a big part of Korean cooking, especially minced garlic. But to get the maximum flavor out of garlic, this is a trick used by a lot of Korean moms that's gonna completely change your garlic game. You wanna take the butt off because it can be a little bit bitter and it's very fibrous. And what you do is use the end of your knife and go to pound town. See how it's like wet and juicy? When you pound it, you break through the fiber walls, so it releases a lot of the allium, therefore getting that really nice pungent, spicy, but clean flavor.
Freshly minced garlic is the secret behind some of the best restaurants in Korea because of its pungent, savory aroma that builds depth as it cooks. So if you want to have it readily available, another Korean mom trick is to bulk buy, chop, divide, and freeze it so you can take out a square conveniently when needed. I also have a Costco meal prep video where I do this if you want to go check it out. Ginger cuts through strong, meaty, or fishy flavors, and it's often paired with garlic and marinades, and it gives the food that extra added depth. And a little goes a long way. Onion adds natural sweetness and body to broth, stir fries, and marinades. Leek, mild sweetness and gentler onion-like flavor. It's quite fibrous, so it's great for pickling or kimchiing, or to stews where it's braised. Scallions are probably one of the most essential aromatics for Korean cooking. It's used fresh as a garnish or cooked to add sweetness, fragrance, and depth. Think of green onion as Korean sofrito. The oil that's made from it is used to flavor dishes with depth and sweetness. Red pepper is used to add dry heat and color, whereas green pepper is added to dishes to give it a nice refreshing kick. Carrot adds crunch and sweetness and makes the dishes look pretty. Eggplant. Eggplant namur is a super common Korean dish that is also super easy to make. Potatoes. It's often used in stews, braised, and side dishes. Mu, aka Korean radish, is one of the most important ingredients. I dedicated a whole section to radish in my 100 Banchan video, and it can be pickled, kimchi-fried, stir-fried, braised. The possibilities are endless. If you've never tasted it before, it tastes a little peppery and crunchy when eaten raw, but sweet and supple like a potato when cooked. Zucchini brings light sweetness and body to dishes, and it's great when stir-fried. Kongnamur, aka soybean sprouts, are a staple in Korean cooking. It's most commonly eaten as namur dressed in simple seasoning or in hangover soups. It's rich in aspartic acid, so it helps your body break down alcohol and recover faster. It's also refreshing and rehydrates your body after a night of drinking. Puchu, aka Chinese chives, is stronger and garlickier in flavor than regular chives and is used often in salads, dumpling fillings, pancakes, and kimchi. It adds a really nice punchy aromatic freshness that balances rich or greasy foods.
Rice, the source of life for all Koreans. In Korean, we say that you haven't had a proper meal unless you've had rice. The word for rice and the word for food is synonymous. Doobie-doo, bop. Get it? Doobie does food/rice.
There's two types of rice in Korean home cooking. First is white rice. When you're looking to go buy rice, go for short grain rice, often labeled as sushi rice. It's plump, rounder, stickier, and sweeter compared to long grain varieties like basmati or jasmine. And make sure you always rinse your rice at least 4 to 6 times until the water runs clear to remove any excess starch and gumminess so you get fluffy rice. As for water to rice ratio, a good general ratio is 1 to 1.1 rice to water by volume ratio. It depends whether you're cooking it on stovetop, a pressure cooker or a rice cooker, but I have the detailed instructions for each in the description box. Second is mixed grain rice, 잡곡밥. This is the rice that's most eaten at home. It's rice cooked with grains and beans because historically white rice was expensive and scarce, so had to stretch it out with cheaper staples like millet, barley, sorghum, and beans. But now it's favored in Korean households because it's packed with more fiber, protein, and micronutrients. Plus, us Asians, we're all low-key pre-diabetic, so it keeps our glucose spikes low. It's best to soak the grains for at least an hour so everything cooks evenly. I like to do a mix of half white rice and half mixed grains to retain some of the stickiness. For this, I recommend using a rice cooker or a pressure cooker to make sure that the beans cook through. If you don't have either, you can cook the beans separately and stir them in later. Noodles! My favorite! Korean food uses a variety of noodles and each depending on the dish, so let me break it down for you. 소면, 냉면, 당면, and kalguksu. 소면 are thin wheat noodles. They cook quickly and are used in dishes like janjiguksu or served cold with spicy sauce as bibimbuksu. Naengmyeon. It's chewy, elastic noodles made from buckwheat and sometimes mixed with sweet potato starch. It's traditionally served in cold beef broth or tossed in spicy bibimbap sauce, and it is the dish that represents North Korea. Tangmyeon, Korean sweet potato starch noodles, also known as glass noodles or vermicelli. These are the star of japchae, stir-fried glass noodles with vegetables and beef, and they absorb sauce beautifully. Kalguksu, and the name literally means knife-cut noodles. It's the noodles when serving either udon or Korean black bean noodles, jjajangmyeon. Other honorable mentions for carbs includes mandu, aka Korean dumplings, which are either steamed, fried, or soupified. Jeon, which is a Korean savory pancake or a fritter made by coating ingredients like vegetables, seafood, or meat in light flour and egg batter, or a flour-based batter like a pancake, then pan frying until golden. It's commonly eaten as a side dish or a party food, especially during holidays and family gatherings. And some of my favorite is kimchijeon and haemulpajeon, aka seafood scallion pancake. And last but not least, tteok. Tteok are Korean rice cakes made from steamed rice that's pounded into a moldy, chewy, squishy shape. It's most famous in tteokbokki, but also used in stir fries with meat and as a base for many beloved childhood snacks. Now, let's talk banchan. Most important banchan in Korean cooking is nammul. It refers to a broad category of Korean vegetable side dishes, banchan. It can be served raw, blanched, stir-fried, but the main thing is that the seasonings are usually light to highlight the natural flavor of the vegetables. Most common nammurs are pickled radish, 콩나물 aka sprouted soybean, spinach, napa cabbage, zucchini, and really any vegetable can be turned into nammur. The best way to enjoy nammur is obviously with bibimbap, where you mix everything together with gochujang, and it's a must-try dish in Korean cuisine. Another type of banchan commonly eaten in Korea is called 밑반찬. These are the everyday side dishes like stir-fried fish cake, soy marinated beef and egg, or stir-fried squid, things that last well in the fridge and can be eaten with rice. Think of them as the ultimate Korean mommy meal prep. Alongside these, pickled and fermented dishes are another essential part of Korean food culture. Preservation not only adds salty, umami, or acidic notes to a meal, but it also reflects the high value placed on gut health in Korean cooking. Jang refers to ingredients marinated in soy sauce, the most common being soy marinated crab, salmon, and egg yolk. Jangachi describes vegetables pickled in equal parts soy sauce, vinegar, and sugar, essentially Korea's version of sweet and sour pickles, perfect for preserving seasonal surplus and always on hand for a Korean barbecue. But the final boss of all preserved foods is most definitely kimchi. The most traditional version is napa cabbage kimchi, and most Korean families make it once a year in November at the end of harvest during kimjang. It's when families come together to prepare a large batch of kimchi to last throughout the winter. Historically, it was stored in clay pots buried underground, fermenting slowly in the cold. Today, many households enjoy both fermented kimchi and also fresh styles like kachori. For a quick version, I like to make a simple kachori recipe that's ready to be eaten the same day. And to make kachori, first cut the cabbage into bite-sized pieces, salt it with coarse sea salt, and let it rest for 30 to 40 minutes. And meanwhile, let's prepare the seasoning. You want to first blend the aromatics and prepare a glue to bind everything together. Add fish sauce and gochugaru and dress the mixture with napa cabbage and Chinese chives. Obviously, finish with a general sprinkle of sesame seeds, and you have yourself fresh, crunchy kimchi that is just unbeatable in my humble Korean opinion. I don't know if you've ever taken an anatomy class, but if you've ever dissected a Korean, you probably know that we're 80% broth. Soup is an important part of how we eat. It's nourishing, comforting, but beyond the many benefits, it also carries symbolic meaning for a lot of Koreans. For example, instead of a birthday cake, we eat seaweed soup to celebrate.
And the reason why we eat miyeokguk for our birthdays is because seaweed is naturally incredibly high in DHA. So a lot of mothers, while they're pregnant, they would eat miyeokguk because it's very nutritious. So that's the reason why you eat miyeokguk on your birthday.
That being said, there are so many soup dishes and the most common are guk and jjigae. If you compare doenjangguk and doenjang-jjigae, the difference lies in viscosity. Doenjangguk is a lighter, broth-based soybean paste soup often made with vegetables, while doenjang-jjigae is thicker, heartier, and more intensely flavored. Same goes for kimchi bean sprout soup versus kimchi jjigae. Other iconic soups include seolleongtang, a Korean beef bone broth, and gamjatang, a spicy pork neck soup. Last but not least, let's talk about Korean street food. Street food is such an important part of how we eat because it's accessible and affordable, and the queen of all Korean street food is definitely tteokbokki. Tteokbokki is stir-fried rice cakes in a spicy, sweet gochujang sauce. We often pair it with an assortment of fried foods, tigim or sundae, Korean blood sausage made with a mixture of glass noodles, vegetables, and pig's blood. More modern street food favorites include Korean corn dogs. If you've never had one, you're definitely missing out. It's crispy, golden, cheesy, and stretchy. You can even get them covered in potato. The world is your corn dog. There's also kimbap, the ultimate Korean burrito. It's the food that your mom packs when you have a school picnic day. It's made by rolling rice with seaweed in various fillings, then slicing it into bite-sized pieces. Moving on to sweets. Something you definitely need to try when you come to Korea is hotteok. It's Korea's version of a donut filled with brown sugar, nuts, and cinnamon in a fluffy yeasted dough. It's a wintertime favorite along with bungeoppang, fish-shaped pastries stuffed with red bean paste or custard.
And that is all to a beginner's guide to Korean cooking. I hope you found this useful. If you have the right techniques and the pantry essentials, you're gonna be able to make Korean food in no time. So hopefully you try a couple of recipes out and let me know how it goes. If you have any questions, I'll be answering them in the comments below, so feel free to ask any questions. If you wanna have more direct recipes, please go watch this video, 100 Banchan, that I did not so long ago. It's a very in-depth recipe tutorial video. So if you want to have quick and easy Korean meals to recreate at home, I definitely urge you to watch this one. And if you're more curious about what Koreans eat for street food, try watching this one. Okay, that is all. I love you guys so much. I think the next video is going to be a travel one, maybe. But see you soon. Bye, doobies! Your mom's chest there. Out!